Never.
All right, roll call, please. City Attorney.
Yes, sir. Chair Ordus,
Here?
Eddie Johnson, not present. Deputy Vice Chair Colburn, Broward County Representative Furr,
Here.
Small Municipalities Representative Walker, At-Large Representative Shafi, and At-Large Representative Joy Cooper, not present. You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. We'll take a motion for approval of the minutes. All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, aye. Opposed? Approval of the agenda. Hello? Any discussion?
Put your mics on.
All in favor, aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, we're at the public comments. All right. MPO board leadership succession. Mr. Collector.
Good morning, Honorable Chair and Executive Committee members, Brian Collector, Broward MPO. So I did provide backup on this agenda item, but I just wanted to let you know what was going to go on when we have the Honorable Chair and the Honorable Vice Chair retire. They selfishly chose retirement instead of 28 years, 29, 32 years of public service. Thank you for your service, Mr. Chair. So what happens is that according to our rules, and I put the rules, I copied them into the backup, the Deputy Vice Chair, which is the representative from Miramar, Coburn, will actually automatically become chair without a vote. And it will leave two vacancies, which is the Vice Chair position and the Deputy Vice Chair. And their vacancies occur after our March meeting, which will mean that at the April meeting, we have designed it so that way the only thing on the agenda so far is just the elections of the officers. So we will hold a vote for the Vice Chair and the Deputy Vice Chair at the April meeting. And if one of those two officer positions are filled by an existing executive committee member, we will then also hold another election to fill those empty positions, whatever they may be. So potentially on the April agenda, we are looking at having potentially 4 elections, and we're guaranteed to have 2 elections. And then the rest of the agenda will just be informative and presentations. So that's all that we have on the agenda. So in April, Deputy Vice Chair Coburn will actually become the chair upon the resignations that were sent in by Chair Ordus and Vice Chair Johnson. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer any questions.
Questions?
Yes, I thought that we were doing an early transition today because you were a little late getting here. So I thought,
Nothing
Deputy Vice-
before it's time.
okay.
Talk to the county commission about traffic.
From out west, yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Any public comments further? All right, let's go to the MPO information technology. Peter?
Morning, Honorable Chair and members of the Executive Committee. Juan Cañas, Broward MPO staff, here to provide you with an update on the IT services contract. And I do have a PowerPoint for you. So as an overview, on November 2nd, 2023, the proposed IT services contract with Thrive Operations LLC was pulled from the MPO board meeting agenda. MPO staff and Thrive Operations LLC could not come to an agreement of limitation due to limitation of liability provisions included in the MPO's agreement. The limitation of liability provisions serve to protect the MPO in the event of negligence and oversight of the contractor. This provision is included in every MPO agreement. All covered IT services, which is our current provider, we are now entering the 5th and final year of the contract. Contract termination is at the end of this calendar year, December 31st, 2024. And because we were not able to execute the contract with Thrive, we executed the 5th and final year optional renewal for continuation of IT support services. Moving forward with the next IT vendor for next steps, Broward MPO IT staff will begin the process of selecting other IT services providers under the GSA contract. The vetting process will consist of providers that meet the current and future IT service needs of the Broward MPO. Given our last go around with meeting with other IT vendors, it will determine that switching over from all covered to another vendor would reduce our monthly cost services, which is why we are seeking another vendor. The timeline for this execution is summer of 2024, only for the migration of services to be completed by November 30th, because once the contract is executed, there is roughly about 8 weeks between the new provider and the old provider to do a migration of all services. So we want to go ahead and get it done early before we reach December. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Question? Commissioner?
Just I just wonder if you think that's enough time, because I know you have, there's a lot of things to be migrated. Is that sufficient? enough
Yes,
time?
if we can get the contract executed by June, that gives us 6 months, and every IT vendor that we have worked with usually says 8 weeks for a full migration, but they can get it done within 4 weeks, and it will be accomplishable.
Right? All right, very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Legislative update.
Thank you for having me down in person. When I left Washington DC yesterday, it was 29 degrees, so I'm very much enjoying. I will be brief because the last time we spoke with you, not much has changed. We've extended out the appropriations process to March 1st and March 9th to try to get FY24 done, while they're simultaneously starting to look at submitting community funded projects for FY25. So they're appropriating simultaneously. It's very rare. We'll see if this works out. Our sources say that they are working towards getting an FY24 deal done, which will be important to the MPO because of the community funded projects. They are remaining intact at this point, which is good news. But if you see the macro level where the border security deal blows up and they can't get funding for Israel, for Ukraine and other things, I think getting a deal is possible. We'll see if they get the votes to get it over the finish line. So that's basically where we're at. I wish I had more positive news for you, but I'm happy to take any questions.
I heard that they're going to give out baseball bats for the meeting today.
I'm sure they're on their way.
Mr. Chair, just
Yes.
really quickly on that. So the community funded, for those of you who aren't into the vernacular, those are earmarks. So I just wanted to make sure you realize that.
Very good. Thank you. And thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Review and this about the agenda for February 8th.
So I'm sorry, Chair. We have, so just to let you know, that was Anthony Bedell with Becker, your federal advocates. That's the voice you hear every month. It's the face of the voice you hear every month. We also have Lauren Jackson from Tripp Scott Eric's, your state advocates, who would like to give an update on what's going on in
Good.
Tallahassee.
And there's a lot going on in Tallahassee.
Yes, there is. Lauren?
Yes, there is. Hi, good morning, everybody. So as I mentioned, it is a very busy session, especially in the transportation space. There's about 4 major transportation packages that we've been working with the MPO and MPO stakeholders on. But one of them is an MPO focused package. And that package, it seeks to develop accountability metrics for MPOs and incentivize high performing MPOs and evaluate consolidation for underperforming MPOs. Eliminate the MPO-AC, explore consolidation of additional MPOs. It revises MPO duties. And we've been meeting with the sponsors of the bill. They've had an open door with our executive director and with Paul. And we feel pretty comfortable working through some of the concerns that we have with the package. But that's continuing to move through the process. The Senate bill was just up in its first committee this week, and the House bill is awaiting being referenced in its final committee, where we expect to see an amendment, and we'll have that language prior to any amendment being adopted, and we'll be sure to share that with everyone. There's also an FDOT package. There's a road builders package, or an industry package, if you will, and then there's a transportation services for persons with disabilities package. And so those are the 4 main packages. There's also bills moving regarding electric vehicles. There's also bills moving regarding advanced air mobility or vertical takeoff and landing. And with that, I'll answer any questions that you guys might have. We're about midway through the legislative session.
Could you expand on the EV vehicles legislations?
Absolutely. So there's basically two bills. One of them is seeking to try to come up with a way to fund infrastructure in light of EV adoption and its impact on the gas tax. So the Senate has taken a completely different position than the House. Originally, both bills would have imposed additional registration fees on EV owners and also on plug-in hybrid owners. However, the House decided to change, and they are actually pursuing now a study because I guess EV manufacturing companies came out and said, hey, we're already paying sales tax on electricity. So instead, they've changed to a study where they're going to study EV adoption, have the revenue estimating conference, estimate the amount of revenue from the electricity tax that would be attributable to EV users, and then transfer a portion of that over to the Transportation Trust Fund in the meantime while the study is being completed. And then after that, they would take those recommendations and then come up with, I guess, fees that they felt might be more fair. But the Senate is not coming off so far of having the additional registration fees attached to that. So they felt that they should just go ahead and be funding the Transportation Trust Fund with those fees. So that's the funding bill, if you will. Then there's also the FDAX package, which is the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. That's where the Office of Energy is housed. And they have a bill that's moving through that would expressly preempt all regulation of EV charging stations to the state. So that bill is also moving as well. There's also sales tax holidays and things like that for micromobility, electric micromobility that has to do with electric bicycles and scooters.
Okay, further questions? Thank you so much for all your work. Further
Absolutely.
questions?
Thank you, guys.
You're late.
Right, just click that. Well, you get it with the mouse.
Touch screens are coming.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks. Good morning. Sorry if I'm late. Actually thinking in reference to this overall topic, we have a company, say ABC company comes in and they rent out part of our property. Is this going to evolve into a typical utility? It sounds like, if by preemption, that they want to regulate this just like they do a gas company or electric company, and we're going to end up being. So is that kind of, I'm not up there, I haven't been up there, so it'd be interesting to see the dialogue on that, because obviously we would look to revenues, obviously, if we're giving up property tax sitting. I mean, a weird example is they pay property tax on the Pegasus, for example. It's an amusement. So that would be a grave concern. I mean, I know they love to preempt us from everything, but I wonder if other states are going that direction, and we need to get our pitchforks ready and out already. Sorry.
Hey, Lauren, did you understand the question?
Mayor?
I believe it's kind of like, what is the rationale behind the bill? And you are correct that they are very much favoring preemptions this year, just in general. But I believe it's because the Office of Energy just wants to have a handle on how all the EV infrastructure is deployed. They did, work. The Office of Energy did develop a master plan, but there's also a kind of battle going on between the investor-owned utility companies and the gas stations about who is going to be the ones that own and operate these EV charging stations. And I think it also has something to do along the lines of that as well. But you're correct. I think they might. I think they just want sort of uniformity and certainty in how they're going about things. But I think the other part as well is that EV charging companies have been coming to the legislature for the past couple of years and saying that they're having a hard time getting permits from local governments, and that local governments are the ones kind of delaying the deployment of this infrastructure in some cases. So I think it also has to do with that as well.
And
No, just as a follow-up, I don't think that to be accurate at all. I think, obviously, the biggest pushback that we've had is interconnects with, no disrespect, but interconnects and infrastructure with FPNO. So just, if you're up there, that's not happening on the ground here, at least in what I could say in our community and trying to get this stuff done. So, no, I think the utilities and the bigger energy players in the room are really not up to speed with technology nor infrastructure and delaying us. Thank you.
Mayor, just also on the Florida example, California, Texas, Pennsylvania, New York are all having similar type conversations, but there has been no national standard produced. So
Over.
Thank you. How does the preemption impact the grants that cities are currently applying for? That is the MPO applying for that as well?
We have not applied directly for EV charging stations, although we probably will together with the cities. The grants that have already been applied for, the federal government is going to honor the grant itself, but we're going to have to see what the preemption is at the state level.
Right, further discussion? All right, moving on. Number 4, discussion of February 8th. Let me just interrupt by saying, today's my last meeting. I have enjoyed it very, very much. 28 years flew by. And last night at the commission meeting, I appointed Tom Good for the Pembroke Pines seat. So we had a great time. I've enjoyed it. And whatever we could do, I'll be at the awards ceremony. We took a table and everything. So I'll miss you all. Thank you.
Okay, well, that changes the whole election structure that Brian just talked about.
I believe this is my last meeting.
You have one more I don't know how your motion worked last night, because if it's March 15th, 20th, then you should be here one more.
19th is actually my last day
Okay,
at the city.
so you'd be here one more meeting.
I didn't
Not so fast.
Not a problem. All right.
Bring this on.
All right, thank you. Discussion draft for March 14th.
Yeah, actually, I want to let you know the March 14th agenda, other than the April agenda being elections, we are electing a chair to serve as the LCP because Sandy Johnson, Representative Johnson, was the chair for the LCB. So we're going to need to find an LCB chair out of the board members. We're going to be approving the Smooth Broward County Urban Boundary, which is part of the census. We're finally getting to that point where we have all the census information together to move forward with what our boundary looks like. Accepting the MPO audit. We're excited to get that one audit. We've had 5 audits this year. It's been very hard on our team. But this is our annual audit, which is great. You're going to see that results of that. The 2050 MTP housing and technology presentations are going to be at the next meeting as well. That's really actually talking about where we're headed with the technology side of things in the long-range transportation plan, as well as how we deal with all types of housing, specifically affordable housing, into our transportation documents. And then you're going to have a A1A multimodal study presentation as well. So that'll give you some ideas of what we're looking at on the revenue generating beachfront. So that's going to be an interesting meeting that we're going to have. And those are the agenda items we have so far for March 14th.
Hey, any further discussion? All right, I think go ahead.
First of all, and I wanted to thank staff. I'm sure you'll hear it from my other colleagues that attended the Transportation Academy. You guys nailed it. As a matter of fact, I just spoke off to my city manager and said, it was very engaging for me from being on the board for quite some time and enjoying the MPO service. But staff did a great job, and the blueprint that, which will probably become our Bibles, is great. During that meeting, I almost went off the cliff, excuse me, out of sunshine. But since we're in sunshine, and I know I've had a discussion with my esteemed colleague, Commissioner Furr, and Transit about safety at our bus stops and our bus shelters, and how we're going to move forward to encourage people to get on the bus and try to prevent loitering. So I know it's an awkward discussion to have, but I think we need to start having it. It's my understanding that there's some legacy issues that had taken place in the county before, possibly lawsuits. I don't know if it's a direct policy, but again, I wanted to start that dialogue because we still have issues, and I'm sure other communities. There's this paradigm shift, I think, and we're seeing it not just here locally on the state, but nationally in regards to making sure our homeless are treated humanely and not left sleeping out on the street. With that said, just wanted to throw it out there.
Thank you.
If that's something we need to take up, I just wanted to share my thoughts.
Okay. Anything else? All right, our board meeting is over and we're ready to go into our regular meeting soon.
Meeting is adjourned. 10:25.